Greetings viewers, this is CP666 signing on for a requested video. A lot of people have written in the past and asked, what does it take to import the video from a videotape, such as, for example, this one, into the computer and upload it to YouTube, or do whatever with it. Nobody's really specifically asked how to upload it to YouTube, but it's fairly obvious, I think. You'd have to edit the video just like you would a video from a normal camcorder or a cell phone. Or you'd upload it that way because you have a digital file. But how do you get it into the computer in the first place? In this video we're going to take a look at that. And I'm going to show you what I do and give you a little bit of a sort of what I do with differing types of tape format, because I've got all kinds of different ones. And you can follow this, not necessarily to a T, you don't have to, but this is pretty good for doing YouTube videos, I find. The quality's okay, the audio sounds good, the videos looks good, everything just works. So, this is how I do the YouTube videos from the VHS and Video8 and Hi8 and all that. How you import your video from videotape into the computer depends greatly upon the camcorder that you are using. I have a couple of examples here. The first of which, as you can see, is very clearly a full-size VHS camcorder, which utilizes, as you can probably imagine, a full-sized VHS cassette tape. One beside it is a vhs-c camcorder, which utilizes a tape that looks like this. Nothing really special or anything like that. It wouldn't look as identical to this, obviously, but it would be certainly very similar. Help if I actually put it in the case the right way. And lastly, we have 8mm camcorders, which utilize a tape that looks like this. There is also another tape format, mini DV. The camcorder would look something like this, and the tapes actually look like this. Let's have a discussion about the common denominators that are involved in this process. Now, I want to be very clear that what I'm using in this particular video is not necessarily what you are going to be using. But, in a generic sense, this is what you need. You can fudge things a little bit, but this is basically what I do, and this is what I found works best. I have a computer tower here that is configured with a PCI TV tuner card, TV capture card, video capture card. The one I have in here is a Hop-Age ComputerWorks. I forget the exact model, but it's a WinTV product, and I'm using the composite video input. You can use RF modulators, you can use S-video adapters, but I'm using composite because all of my camcorders use composite. I'm actually using it for other reasons, but I'm using it because, well, that's what works best. Less adapters, you get the best possible quality. You don't need a computer that is particularly fancy. This machine is boasting a Pentium 4. Software-wise, lowest common denominator. Alright, I'm going to say right off the bat, yes, I'm using Windows XP. No, you don't have to use Windows XP to do this. You don't even have to use Windows Movie Maker to do this. But this is what works for me. You can use anything that can import audio from your line input on your computer and video from a TV capture card. Any program will do, under any operating system. But this is what I'm using, and this is what I'm using to demonstrate this in this video. So, there you go. And that's what you need. You need a 3.5mm cable that goes to RCA. I don't have one that I can really show you right now because, well, this is just kind of in the way. But you basically need a cable that goes from this style of a connector right here. I'm not going to be able to do this one here. Maybe I can. You need a cable that goes from that style to something like this, because that's what camcorders mostly have. You might find a few that have a headphone jack. You can probably use that, but I've never tested it. I've always used the output on the side there, so your mileage will certainly vary. And in any event, you'll need a cable that'll go from that anyways. So, we'll start with the VHS. Now, the way that I usually do this is I take the tape and I put it into the VCR. So that's the really easy way to do it. I've already got this hooked up, so it's not really difficult at all. I have to turn on this. Again, you don't need a mixer. You don't need all of this fancy crap. You just need the cables. That doesn't really matter. I have that for other things. I've got it set up already, so I might as well use it. Your mileage for hooking up the camcorder if you want to go that route, using the camcorder's own built-in VCR, may vary. I don't know if all camcorders are set up like this one is. I know that the two that I have, this one and there's a Panasonic up there, they are set up like this. You'll have this adapter here that goes into the back, and it goes out to the power supply, which obviously does more than just power the camcorder and charge the battery. It's also essentially an RF modulator. Actually, it is an RF modulator. But you hook this up, you get your single channel of audio, or two if you have stereo, and you'd have your RCA jack. You'd hook these up into the system. You don't need to do anything fancy. You don't need to worry about the RF conversion switch. You don't need to worry about the switch on the front. You don't need to worry about anything else. It should just work. And you can test this beforehand. If you put it into camcorder mode, and you should get a picture in whatever program you are testing your import. You can test an import and see if it works. But I'm obviously going to go the VCR route. For vhs-c tape, again, you've got two options here. The first of which is to use a camcorder. I've got one here that I use for pretty much all my vhs-c stuff. But you would probably use the camcorder you use to record the video if you still have it. If not, you'll have to buy one in order to use the camcorder. And hook it up same way you did the VHS camcorder. You hook up your video and your audio, and it works like that. It's pretty similar. The other option, they have VHS-C to VHS adapters on eBay. You can buy one of those, put the VHS-C tape in it, following the directions, of course, and you can use a regular VHS VCR for that purpose as well. Very handy. Unfortunately, for 8mm tapes, you're going to need a camcorder in order to import the video. And the camcorder that you have or need is going to depend upon what kind of tape that you have. This is a Canon ES2500 Hi8 camcorder. This tape right here is a TDK 8mm standard Video8 tape. Video8 and Hi8 differ very slightly. There's some technical differences. I'm not really going to get into it since it's not the point of the video, but they are different formats. And I've never tested this, but I don't know if it actually is this way, but I do not think you can play Hi8 recordings in most Video8 camcorders. Again, this might not actually be true. However, if you can play Hi8 recordings in a Video8 camcorder, you will not get the benefits of Hi8. So it's best if you have a Hi8 camcorder. If you've got Video8 tapes and Video8 camcorder, it doesn't really matter to you. But if you don't know what it is and you don't have a camcorder, you're probably best finding a Hi8 camcorder or a Digital 8 camcorder, because there are digital tapes in this same format, and if they're digital, these will definitely not play them. So if you don't have a camcorder, you're best off finding a Digital 8 camcorder. But it's very easy. Again, same process. You just hook up the connections. This one's actually stereo. Hey, this one's actually stereo, you can see there. And I have S-video if I wanted to use S-video. But again, your connections are there. You hook it up, and you play your tape. Very easy. So the process for this is relatively straightforward. The only thing that you really have to watch out for is 8mm tapes, because there are so many different formulations of them, different standards, Video8, Hi8, and Digital 8. So just keep in mind all of this. It shouldn't really be a big problem. So I mentioned mini DV, tape that looks like this. How do you import that? And there are similar directions for Digital 8. This is different. In fact, it's completely different from all the analog sources. You could, I think this one actually does have, it should anyways, yes, there is an analog video output on the side. You can use that, and you can import it just like an analog video camcorder, but it just wouldn't look the best. So you're better off doing this digitally, and you need a couple of things in order to do this, which are completely different from importing a regular video. The first thing you obviously need is the camcorder and the tape. The second thing you are going to need is one of these. This is a Firewire, or IEEE 1394, or iLink, depending upon which name you intend on using. They're all the same thing. And in particular, this is a 4-pin, I think it's 4-pin. Yeah, this is a 4-pin cable, because 4-pin is what the camcorders generally use. You could have an 8-pin on your computer, and you have to get an appropriate, or sorry, a 6-pin. You'll have a 6-pin. You might have a 6-pin on your computer, and you'll have to get the appropriate cable in order to use it. But the 4-pin to 4-pin is what I have, and that's what I am going to use. Likewise, you're going to need a computer that's got a FireWire or 1394 or iLink input. And on a laptop computer, which I have right here, this one's got one. It looks something like this. See if we can get some focus on that. Come on. It looks something like that. Well, you could see it while the camcorder wasn't focused. Now you kind of can't, but it'll be something like that on a laptop. You might have a larger connector. It'll be 6 pins. This one's 4-pin. On a desktop computer, you'll need the appropriate cable. And of course, you'll need the software to import, but that's pretty easy to find. And all you have to do, plug it in, and the software that you use will be able to control the camcorder, or you can control on the top with all the playback controls. It's very easy. Okay, because I'm sure some bonehead will make a stupid comment if I don't show this process, well, I'm going to show you this process with pictures because I can't do a screen capture and I'm not getting my camcorder out to do this again. I wasn't originally going to do this at all because, really, let's be frank about this, this is only applicable if you're using this software in the first place. The way that your software works is probably different from the way that my software works. Unless, of course, you are using the same software as me. But anyways, when you open up Windows Movie Mauler, or Movie Maker, sorry, so you can tell what I think about this software. Although it does generally work, I shouldn't give it too much flack. On the sidebar, you'll see there's options for capturing video, and you'll want to choose the option Capture from Video Device, and when you do, you'll see something similar to this. You'll get available capture devices, you'll set up your input levels, your audio devices, and all of that the way that you need to. This is how mine is set up. You'll click on Next, and you'll be greeted with entering a file name. That's pretty obvious and straightforward. You just put in a file name and it'll save it. And then this is the option that'll probably matter the most. You will choose what works for you. The option that works the best, I've found for my setup, is the 1.5 megabit per second video for local playback. Some videos I've done have used the 2.1, mostly the earlier ones, but the 1.5 works the best for me. It creates the small enough files, and you don't really lose enough quality to where I think that it matters. Obviously, if you choose video for dial-up access, you're going to get really crappy video, and that's just the way that it is. You can use these high-quality video ones. I don't really know what kind of bit rate those are. I can't remember off the top of my head. And then, when you click on Next, you'll get to the actual capture screen, and for whatever reason, the preview ended up showing up blank, even though when I captured it, there was something on the screen, but whatever. So these options are pretty straightforward. You'll click on Finish, and it'll save your file, and that is all you need to do to import the video. This is a test recording on a camcorder using 8mm tape. In particular, this is actually Video8. So you can get an idea as to what this looks like and sounds like. This camcorder is probably not the best example because it's got bad capacitors, so the audio quality is pants, but that's just kind of the way it is. I don't have any zoom either because the zoom control is broken. This is some test video from a vhs-c camcorder. Something I forgot to mention in the actual video that I was, some vhs-c camcorders, such as this one, instead of having the video outputs that this one does, video and audio, they utilize this. This is a 3.5-inch, what do they call this, tip ring sleeve. And this breaks out to a single audio, and it's basically like this. It breaks out to something like that. You know, you plug in, I think you know what I mean. I have not tried this, but there have been reports of people who can use audio cables for this, so maybe you can get away with that. I have never tried it. Personally, if you see a camcorder that's like this and you don't have any real reason, I'd avoid buying it, but that's just me. Obviously, well, Then again, you're talking to the person who's got a billion of these things. I can't avoid buying vhs-c camcorders, but this is not something that I really would recommend dealing with. I would recommend getting at least one camcorder that's got this kind of connector. If you don't have this cable, maybe you have this cable. If you have this cable, that doesn't really apply to you, but just be aware that some camcorders, vhs-c camcorders, and maybe even other camcorders, try to play shenanigans with the AV outputs. In fact, funny enough, the camcorder I'm using right now is like that. This is some test video recorded on a full-sized VHS camcorder. The camcorder that I used to record the Video8 portion of this is up there in that bag, but it is not the camcorder I showed you earlier, which is sitting right there. One other thing that I thought I'd mention about importing videos from videotape is that the process is real-time. So, what that basically means is that if you shoot a 30-minute long video, you're going to spend 30 minutes importing the video into the computer. You can't speed it up. There's no high-speed dubbing option. That just simply doesn't exist. You'll spend the same amount of time importing the video as you do recording the video. Less the rewinding time and also the time to set up all the stuff and all of that. That is it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you have any comments, feel free to leave them down below. And this is CP666 signing off. I hope to see you next time. Till then.